What is going on, guys? Today we are on the Waking Flame public test server. We're covering all of the big changes that are coming in update 31. So if you haven't seen my previous videos going over the champion points as well as the new hybrid meta, be sure to give those a listen. But in this video, we are going to go over the changes and buffs to ice skills to see if finally there can be a viable ice focus build for PvP. But before we get started, if you guys are enjoying my content, don't forget to subscribe. It's free and you guys will never miss an upload. Also, if this video helps you in any way, don't forget to smash that like button. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So to start this video off, we're going to look at the patch notes very quickly and talk about the significant changes that happened to the ability called Destructive Touch. This ability and its morphs now guarantee their respective elemental type status effects on hit. So this is actually a big deal. So basically what this is going to do whenever you use Destructive Touch, either morph, it's going to proc the status effect. So if you're using a fire staff, it's going to proc the burning status effect. If you're using the lightning staff, it's going to proc the concussion status effect. And if you're using an ice staff, you're going to proc the chilled status effect, which reduces their damage done, gives them minor maim, but also is going to immediately proc the brittle, which increases your critical damage done to them, which is actually a very big deal. Especially in the Magden, you get a lot of extra buffs to critical damage done. So overall, that's a very big change in itself alone. Just adding the initial hit to proc the status effect, that's a very big deal. Now the next one is going to be the Frost Touch or Reach. So this is the unmorphed version and then the Reach version. So this is not going to be the clench. This is not the one that snares. So the Frost Reach version now deals in approximately 80% more damage on its initial hit to make them equal to other range spammable attacks to give love to the Frost DPS out there. This is a very big buff to this. I think right now we have a 10-11k tooltip, pretty much fully buffed. That's not too bad of damage. You know, if you compare this to other spammables like Force Pulse, this is right on par with those skills, and it's going to give you just basic ice damage. So you can really spec more into ice skills and probably can set up an ice build finally in PvP. So that's all the big changes really. These two right here, the elemental status effects and the 80% extra buff on the damage done. So now that you guys are updated on the changes to Frost Reach and how it's been buffed, we're now going to compare the damage difference between Force Pulse and Reach. But before we do that, let me kind of show you what I'm running and kind of how I'm going to spec out my ice build next patch. So we're going to be using the Master's Perfected Ice Staff. Obviously, this is going to be on here. If you're using Reach, you may as well be using the Perfected Ice Staff because you're getting 600 spell damage, you get that 10% cost reduction, and you gain that 103 spell damage tooltip. Also, on the back bar, we're using Clever Alchemist. This is a no-brainer for Magden. You really need this health for the bigger heal on the Arctic Blast. Plus the extra damage boost whenever you pop a potion is very nice. Right now we're using this Magma Incarnate. This thing is very unique and I really like this monster set. I'm definitely going to get this when it comes out. So we get the courage, we get the resolve whenever we heal ourselves. So it's really good, I think, for PvP. This is going to be good for groups, good for support. Magden is a support healer per se, so you can kind of have this and give your team some good damage mitigation for the resolve and good damage from courage. Now we're using the Hrothgar's Chest. This is a new set that's coming out next patch, a new 5-piece set, and stunning an enemy or immobilizing them basically deals chill damage or cold damage and does 26% of their total physical and spell resistance as frost damage. So this is definitely very good. I've been testing this set quite a bit on the PTS, you know, fighting dummies and stuff, but also I tested this on one player. I didn't record the video, I forgot to, so it ended in a draw. That's what a lot of duels are now in the PTS, is nobody's dying. So we're going to more on that later. We're going to talk about the tank meta and everything, but anyways, we're going to do a whole gear set review on this and explain why I think this set is really good. So definitely be on the lookout for that video. So that's what we're running here. Damage difference wise, tooltip 7096 on the Frost Reach. For the Force Pulse, if you add up these numbers together, this can be a 6726. So not too big of a difference, about 300-400 damage, but you know, at the end of the day, that is more damage than Force Pulse. Now, a thing I do like about this is, like I was explaining on the patch notes, is the initial hit from this procs the chill status effect. This is 100% guaranteed. So if we just hit our Reach here, procs the chilled, which is going to basically give us brittle, and also whenever they're chilled, like that passive, the Winter's Embrace, Glacial Presence. Whenever somebody is chilled, we're going to gain we're going to gain 10% more critical damage to them. So Brittle and that passive together give a 20% damage or critical damage increase to that target. That's why I like this a lot. I mean, it's just going to be really, really nice to give you that critical damage boost. And you could honestly use, you know, sets like Mechanical Acuity and really get your critical damage up that way. But Force Pulse, it has a random chance to proc it. Sometimes it can proc it every time. Other times it procs it in 10 tries. So it's really dependent on you. I do think Force Pulse will still be a viable option for the Magden. I think it probably still could be best in slot because it does 3 damage, so any of those can crit or none of those can crit. It really just depends on your luck, but you do have 3 chances to proc, you know, a few other status effects. But overall, I think the damage increase on this is actually going to be really, really nice. The sad part though is damage mitigation is so high, so people, you feel like this should deal a lot of damage. You think 80% damage increase sounds like a lot, but in this meta right now that we're in on the PTS, it doesn't feel like that big of a damage boost. I think there's a lot of contributing factors to this, but mainly it's going to be the CP. I think that's a big thing, and also the Battle Spirit. This new CP slottable Pain's Refuge is really, really nice. Plus the Saving Death Ironclad is really the big proponents here, plus the Battle Spirit. But we're going to make a whole video on that, going in depth on all that damage mitigation. So now let me actually show you the buff tooltip stat sheet for Frost Reach to see how we can get it with our gear sets. We're going to swap back to our regular spec. So we're going to hit our armor buff. We're going to hit our Betty, our Blue Lotus. So now we're going to get in combat. I'm going to hit our Rapid Regeneration, Clever Alchemist, Light Attack. So we're at 5,646 spell damage, so not too bad there. Definitely can get higher if you're using, you know, more spell damage on your jewelry, but not too bad, honestly. Just regular here with Light Attack and Clinch, we're at 5,300. The reason why I went up to 56 is because of this set right here, giving us Minor Courage. So now let's take a look at the tooltip really quickly. All right, so we got this, we got this. So tooltip is 10,674, so not too bad. I really think that this could be viable. I mean this is really decent damage. If we proc our Clever Alchemist, Light Attack, and our Clinch, we have 10,339. So not too bad damage. I mean, 10k damage on a reach is going to be pretty amazing. And you know, all of this extra damage bonus that we get for the reach with our Deep Fissure, we're going to be pretty slapping hard, not gonna lie. Especially with the extra critical damage increase that we have with the decent amount of crit chance at 26%. Definitely going to be taking some advantage of that. Plus our Khajiit passive gives us 12% critical damage increase. So this is kind of why I'm leaning towards a more of a crit damage spec next patch, especially for the Magden, because of this alone and the overall scaling of their critical damage in their passives. So overall, the main question for this video, will this be viable? I think it will be. I think it's going to be in a lot better spot than it ever has been. We've been really wanting an ice spammable for a long time, and I don't think this is really the way to go about it. I would personally change Dive and get rid of this freaking thing, and change to a Ice Spear or a Ice Shard, whatever, something, or get rid of Frozen Gate. This is annoying. Nobody uses this. Anyways, I think that they should change a spammable here and give us a ice spam rather than Frost Reach, but I'll just take what we can get at this point. I definitely think that it's going to be based on your enjoyment, you know, actually being able to play an ice build and making it decent, I think is the main goal. It's not going to be any meta, I don't think, you know, at least at the initial thoughts. But I mean, it could be, but I don't think it will be. I think it'll just be fun to play, you know, random meme build, you know, playing an Ice Warden, playing like Elsa or something like that, if you want to be a little bit cringy. But I definitely think it'll be viable. I think paired with a few sets will make it a lot better, like this Hoarfrost. I think this is definitely gonna be very good with it. Plus using, you know, we could obviously use a different monster set like Ice Heart to complete the theme, but I definitely think this is a solid option and viable for PvP next patch. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. I honestly can't wait for this patch to come out. I'm definitely really excited for it. I think the only thing that I don't like about it is the base damage mitigation that we're getting. You know, we have a lot of mitigation from our CP now. We also have a lot of mitigation from the Battle Spirit. I think if those things can be addressed, this patch will definitely be one of the best ones out there. because duels just take forever. You know, it's just a 1v1, so just imagine how it's going to be when you're fighting outnumbered against multiple people. You know, people are just going to be so tanky. But this patch did feel a little bit better responsive to the healing and overall time window to actually be able to play, you know, kind of counter. What's going to happen if this goes live the way it is going to be a lot of baiting people into bursting and not healing themselves. That's really what this patch is going to be like. I think that this is going to be most similar to Markarth. I think before they added a lot of these changes with the process scaling, I definitely think this is what it's probably going to turn into. Right before Markarth, it felt pretty decent. I enjoyed Markarth. It was one of my best patches. But yeah, just think about Markarth without proc sets, and I think that that's what kind of how I can sum this up a little bit. Just no proc sets to really beat that tank meta. But I hope this video kind of opened your eyes a little bit to the more viability for ice builds in PvP next patch. And that's it for me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.